Happy Sunday, everyone. Happy Sunday. Which everyone, hope everybody's having a blessed day. Actually, um, a lot of football going on, conference playoffs going on as we speak. But just wanted to hop on here and basically discuss what's been going on in HBCU world. Um, Especially the Bethune Cookman situation with Ed Reed, Shannon Sharp, and other topics. I have here with me Coach 67 Sports TV and Jay Good, my fellow LDBC brothers. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. How y'all brothers doing today?
I'm well, bro. How y'all doing?
Fellas, what's going on? I'm doing good. I'm doing good, man. I can't complain. I'm glad to be aboard.
Yes, glad to have y'all. Glad to have y'all. Um, Both these brothers are busy brothers, so it's a treat to have these brothers on doing this with me. Um, Short show today. Usually we have it an hour long, but have personal obligations I have to take care of. But we have to cook on what's been going on. There's nowhere way to steer around it or go around it. We have to talk about it. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is what do you think about Ed Reed going back and forth on Twitter with Shannon Sharp, Uncle Shay Shay? Coach, you can take your first crack at it. What your perspective on this?
Well, in terms of the back and forth between him and Shannon Sharp, I mean, it's obvious and transparent that Ed Reed doesn't like some of the things Shannon Sharp have said, and it's like a situation where someone chimed in and said something you didn't like, and as a result, you said something in response to that person, basically saying like, "Hey, you don't know me, you don't know all the details surrounding this particular situation," and it just kind of a bit of back and forth. I mean, me personally, in regards to their particular situation, me personally, I would like it better if they just kind of met behind the scenes and they just talked face to face and they just kind of ironed and smooth things out. Uh, that way, with the two of those individuals, between Ed Reed and Shannon Sharp, uh, I mean, it would be something different if it was Ed Reed and Skip Bayless maybe going back and forth. But me personally, I don't like the look of Ed Reed and Shannon Sharp going back and forth. I mean, it's transparent that, you know, Ed Reed didn't like some of the things Shannon Sharp said, and it just kind of escalated from that point forward.
Yes, absolutely. And shout out to the General 78 Sports TV.
What's
Thank
good,
you.
78?
Thank you for tuning in, sir. Appreciate you. Love you, brother. I also want to and Jay Good, I know you got a lot to say. I want to share actually a tweet that let me know if you can see it. So if those who can see it, it says we can build and we were building at Shannon Sharp. You basically is referring to Shannon Sharp. You don't know me. I know a good bit of watching you. You're close enough to ask me though, Skip. Yeah, I'm Hall of Fame like Deion Sanders. Just ask me. Since you grown folk don't believe these young people, layup this is. So those who are a little bit confused of what is Ed Reed talking about, Jay Good, since you text me, put me on game about this tweet, can you kind of elaborate what Ed Reed is talking about and what his frustration with um, Uncle Shay Shay?
Yeah, it seemed like from watching Ed from watching Ed respond directly to Shannon, um, I took it as in, he had somewhat of an issue with Shannon's opinion. I don't know if he took it personally, if he felt like it was personal attacks, as the way as he was, as the way that he was responding, the things that he was saying, how he was going back to it. I mean, he complimented him quite a few times, in Shannon's response, but I think the Ed just, I think he kind of took it personal, as in if they're as in if they are questioning his motives and how he's moving. Um, seeing a lot of the responses for the back and forth from Ed and Shannon, it does, it's not a good look. It's not a good look from the standpoint of, from Ed's standpoint, because when he even went as far as, showing how he was going out of his way to reach out reach out to Shannon, you know screenshotting DMs and posting DMs, and we already have people saying that, okay, you're kind of moving erratically here. You need to tone it down a little bit. You have people that are saying that. So when you go into that particular uh, measure of doing those types of things, it's like it's adding fuel to the fire. I don't think that Shannon, I don't think that he really just went in like he could have. I mean, hell, if anything, he kind of drug PV and Alcorn down, indirectly by just not knowing what he was talking about. But I think the
Mm,
Ed just, I think the Ed just took it the wrong way. And, at this point, it's like if you're not riding for the kids, um, then you are the ops, you are the opposition, and I definitely understand that. I mean, he's brought up great things, he's brought up great points, things that need to be addressed, absolutely. But it's like it's like for Ed, if you question, as Neek says, tone and delivery, or if you question how he's doing those types of things, and he takes, he's going to take offense to that. So. Um, I think that that's where they stand. To me, it seemed one sided. Because I mean, even in Shannon's response in the DMs, he was like, "Bro, I'm with you." He's like, I applaud what you doing. I'm riding with you. But it was like Ed just kept going in and going in and going in.
right.
So, and that kind of plays into, people say, okay, well, it's passion. Well, I agree. Okay, I do understand passion. You just got to understand that, in certain roles, a head coach, a CEO, a leader, these are roles where you have to be under control at all times. So any type of chink in the armor, especially when it's something that you don't like, or if it's not going your way, that's going to be a red flag to many people, because they're going to wonder, okay, when things don't go your way throughout the process, whether it's through the season, or if it's something that you see behind the scenes, how are you going to respond? So that's going to, draw concern. And in this particular case, here it is, something that he doesn't agree with, a guy's opinion, granted on the national level. He has something to say. So yeah, that's in a nutshell, that's pretty much what you're dealing with. But it's
Yeah.
it's like I said, it's it's unfortunate that it's gotten this far, but at the same time, it has drawn the curtains back on a lot of things that need to be addressed.
It has. It's definitely bittersweet, and I think of just involving Shannon and Ed Reed. I think they can patch it up behind, like Coach was saying, they can patch it up behind closed doors. I think Ed Reed just passionate on what's going on, and at this point, like uh, you said, Jay Good, if nobody or somebody is coming off like they're disagreeing with him or questioning his motives, he's like, at this point, he's like, everybody can get it. But I think he's taking it out of perspective of um taking it to heart. But I think he means well, but I think he's acting a little bit emotional. What I mean, I can't really blame him based on what some of the things he's seen. Joseph Townsend, salute family. Thank you for joining in and watching. SS Rhodes, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you. And then they also I couldn't find that the Instagram one, Jay Good, but they also went back and forth on Instagram And can both Coach 67 and Jay Good, can you kind of elaborate on what they were talking about?
You go first, Jay.
I didn't see an exchange. He went back and forth on Instagram with who? With Shannon or with?
Yeah,
I,
with Shannon.
well, the only thing I really saw was just the DMs that Ed was posting. You know, and again, it's like what I was saying. If I have a issue or something that needs to be brought to attention or whatever it may be, and I contact you or coach or whoever, I'm not fixing to go online and put that out in public. You know,
Yeah,
as we always say, handling things behind doors, because there are so many people that are watching and paying attention that they really and truly, they really don't care about what you care about. At the same time, they view it as this is a cracked or an open door where I have an opportunity to pile on, drag down, desecrate, and disrespect something that I already don't care about. So, when you do things like that, it's like you yourself are adding on to it. But I think it was I want to say Stevie Baggs. Are you familiar with him?
yeah, he was a practice squad player for the Baltimore Ravens. He never really played like that, but he was on the team. But
Okay,
he played at Bethune Cookman. Yeah,
he played at Bethune Cookman, and I think that he chimed in and said something. I don't know if it was on Ed's live, but I saw where that was kind of trending too. It's like now it's like anything that Ed brings to light, HBCU Twitter or Black Twitter, they're gonna jump on it. And like I said, some of it is because they care about the kids. Some of it is because they care about HBCUs or Bethune Cookman University. And then some of it is just because they're gonna ride with Ed regardless. So anything that he puts out there, it kind of goes viral for the most part on Twitter. But I saw where there was an exchange where they were going back and forth, and that was kind of again another red flag. Like, you're doing a little too much, bro. You're doing a little too much, because eventually what's going to happen is there's going to be a timeline where someone is going to sit back and document and notate all of these little skirmishes, all of these little incidents that you have, and then you're going to want to go and apply for somebody's head coaching job. And then not just the board, not just the athletic director, not just the alumni. They're going to go back and look at all those things, and then they're going to wonder, is this the right person that we want to have on the mic at all times representing our institution? So again, and that's kind of like where your passion can possibly get you in trouble. You got to be forward thinking. You have to think later on
mm,
down the line. So, at this point, it's like a lot of people are saying that Ed's not ready. I mean, from the standpoint of caring for kids and everything, yeah, hell, that might be his lane. Maybe that's his lane that he can create. Go to HBCUs and from campus to campus to campus and see what could be addressed. But it's just like from the standpoint of being a head coach, where knowing that there's going to be a microphone and a camera in your face, are you going to be able to say the right thing at the right time? So, I don't know. That doesn't mean that he's not going to coach. That doesn't mean that he can't get another opportunity. But maybe that just means that you coach safeties, until you are able to, until people have trust and faith in you. Maybe I don't even know a defensive coordinator, because coordinators talk. I mean, unless head coaches shut them down. So, and I've seen that before also. Some head coaches don't give you access to their coordinators. So,
no,
you know, that's a
yeah,
possibility also. So, but yeah, that's just other things that are added on to the fire of all this that think that people are looking at. So yeah.
very good perspective, Jay Good. Yeah, and just before you start cooking, Coach, I have the what you um I can't remember who either you, Coach, or Jay Good sent me, but basically what you said, Jay Good, which kind of I know Ed Reed kind of emotional right now, but you don't do stuff like this. If I deem or talk to you private, you don't put it out for everybody can see. So Shannon Sharp put on Instagram, bro, I support you. If you took offense to anything I said, I apologize. Think you're going to make a hell of a coach. God didn't think that was the right situation for you. All the best. And he put nah, and Ed Reed put nah, bro. That's not it. God did. You said a lot of wrong about me, player. And it's I think Ed kind of like you said, real emotional. But if you acting like this, can you be trusted to coach at another school? You know what I mean? So very good perspective, Jay. Good, very good perspective, Coach. What's your thoughts on this?
Essentially, Jay Good and I, we were saying the exact same thing. We just phrasing it differently. I think the thing with Ed Reed, it's good that he's passionate about what he's doing. However, you have to have a certain degree of patience. You have to have a certain degree of poise. You have to have a certain degree of professionalism when you're in a position to be a head coach or you're a CEO or you're the leader of some type of organization. Because just in my particular situation, there were many instances, even just during the course of this season, where things happen and it wasn't anything I did in particular, but since I'm the leader of the team because I'm the head coach. Basically, I got blamed for things that really wasn't necessarily my fault. And in that particular instance, I couldn't throw anyone else under the bus. I had to handle it a certain way. And then I had instances where, players did things that they weren't supposed to do or said things they weren't supposed to say because they were passionate also. But, I couldn't just fly off the handle and react the way they did. I had to take the high road and go about things a certain way and in a certain fashion. So I think the thing with him, like Jacob was saying, it looks, real suspicious that every time things don't go your way, you just fly off the handle. You're extremely passionate. You say things you're not supposed to say. You run the social media and expose things that's supposed to be handled behind closed doors. I mean, basically, from the very outset, when he started going on social media, and was talking about administration at the school, I'm gonna be truthful. Even at that particular point, I thought, well, hey, maybe he's not really cut out to be a head coach at this particular point in time until he learned how to control and harness his emotions. He's gonna struggle pretty much at any institution because no matter where you go, you're gonna run into trials and tribulations. There's gonna be certain obstacles that you're gonna be able to that you're gonna have to overcome it and you're gonna have to deal with. And if you get highly emotional, at every turn, every time you have this type of situation or any situation come up, like it's problematic, and if you're in that situation, you're the leader, you have to have a certain degree of professionalism, a certain degree of patience, and a certain degree of poise. And at this juncture, I hate to say it, I don't think Ed has really shown that at this point.
And this hurt me to say as a Baltimore Ravens fan, though he hasn't. I believe he got the tools to be a coach, but emotionally he needs to, like Jay Goods, if somebody will allow to work with him, be a court, especially a defensive coordinator, work with the defensive backs, and to get that emotionalism out of him. Um, just sit down and learn something. Just go good old fashioned, just sitting down learning something about yourself. Um, but good perspective, Coach. Very good perspective. Looking at the comments, SS Rose said y'all already have a niche here if y'all want to grow it. Yes, that's what we plan to do. Thank you. Um, Francel Production says taking the high road is necessary. The powers to be want us to fight against each other. There's nothing like a conversation. You're very right. And thanks for joining and listening in. A private conversation. Yep. And SS Rose said we don't have a code anymore. No, well, a lot of cases we don't, unfortunately. Um, like Ed Reed is doing. He's putting a lot. That's what people are doing nowadays. They're putting you on blast, and they thinking that's the right thing to do. No, that's very immature. So in a nutshell, guys, because like I said earlier, uh, I think it can be passed up between Ed Reed and Uncle Shay Shay, because Uncle Shay Shay was man enough to apologize for what he did on the sidelines of the um, when the Lakers was playing Memphis Grizzlies. So he was able to apologize to uh, John Morant and the other player that he was going back and forth with, and John Morant's father and all that. So technically, he did kind of wave the white flag um, in that Instagram messages I just read. But it seems like Ed Reed, like I say, Ed Reed was like, you can get it too. And that's the, like both you and Coach said, you, Jay Good, and Coach said, just mentioned that that's not Coach material as far as leadership role. Maybe a coordinator, but just being a head coach, no. How can the higher ups trust you to make certain decisions that cause you to be rational? So very good, fellas. Very good. Very good. Um, Topic two, and we just had to talk about this because this Joker here. Um, what do you think about? Well, what do you think of interim president Dr. Lawrence Drake comments on Roland Martin's show? So basically, he made comments. He was on, and again, Jay Good, thank you for the information, sending me that video, because I don't watch Roland Martin like that. But he had a very good show on YouTube. He had Ed Reed on there. He had the interim president on there, which is Dr. Lawrence Drake, and then he had current players on there. Um, Talking about the situation that's going on at Bethune Cookman. Um, Basically, to me, uh, Dr. Drake seemed like he was passing the buck. He seemed very oblivious of what was going on. He didn't know anything about the equipment, he claims. Um, and other stuff is going on, is coming out about what's going on at Bethune Cookman in the campus as far as the conditions. Starting with you, Jay Good, what is your perspective on that after you um, view the or listen to the comics of Dr. Drake?
I thought that when he first initially started chiming in there, I thought that that he was running the course of speaking, with some, speaking with some honesty there initially. But as but as the questions started coming in, and then listening to the responses, uh, it was just hard to buy. I mean, like you said, it did come off as in he was passing the buck. To me, it seemed like with Dr. Drake being an interim president, and I believe he's been sitting interim president for like 2 years. To me, I mean, I think he's kind of protecting that board. And even though he can say, "Well, I'm the president and I got the last say," so yeah, but they're also going to be the ones that actually determine who's going to be the president. So who's really in control here? So it's like a lot of the things that he was saying. I don't know if, again, I talk about forward thinking. I don't know if he thought about the ramifications that this is not going to only be the only interview. There's going to be other people chiming in. There's going to be other people talking and giving their opinion. And that's exactly what happened when it came shortly after. You start hearing from athletes, you start hearing from alumni, You started hearing from former equipment, managers and things like that. So it's just like you kind of got exposed there, bro. I mean,
Yeah, you did bad.
and you did it yourself. I mean, I thought that it was funny because Roland asked him about about Ed coming back, and he was like, he gave this long speech about, we're a Christian university and the values and upholding everything that Mary Bethune stood for. And then he was like, and I'm getting calls from Walt Disney, and they're asking me, you got this guy out here that's talking, a certain type of way.
Using
What are
foul
you going to,
language.
what are you going to do about that? So he kind of put it off on allegedly Walt Disney, uh, pretty much with them supposed to be a sponsor, forcing the hand of why Ed was not coming back, although I don't believe that. Um, it's just, in my opinion, it was lies. So if you're lying about that in that particular setting, what else
What
are
else
you
you
lying?
lying about exactly?
Right. And
And it was
and it,
bad. Go ahead.
hmm hmm
It,
Yeah, it was bad because as the curtain starts coming, as the curtain starts getting pulled back, and you start hearing more and more people talk, not just from that area, not just people that are familiar, with BCU, but people from that area and actual alumni, and they're giving their own personal accounts. You're talking about you go on campus and you're on campus every day, and you're talking to the students, and the students are saying that they don't hear you, they don't see you. Who are you talking to? Is this one of those things where, okay, I pulled up to the campus, I parked every day, I'm finna go into my office and I see somebody and I spoke to them? Is that what you're talking about? Or are you talking about actually walking the campus, building rapport with your students, asking questions, asking how they doing, asking is there anything that they need or what they would like to see? Are you doing that every day? Because it don't sound like it. Not at all.
no, he especially when he said in the video said he didn't know about the equipment being having bacteria on it, mold. Um, he didn't know about them sharing helmets and and it's like okay, like you just said, Jay Goodwood. Okay, you claim what else do you not know about?
Yeah.
Are you acting ignorant about? Like you hearing, it may come across your desk, but you're just not taking action, and now it's blowing up in your face. It got national headlines. Everybody's taking pieces from off script to other channels on YouTube who support HBCU or conversate on HBCU, not your football, just life or life. They're getting a whiff of this, and I mean, it's like it's a bad look, man. It's a bad look, very bad look. Um, and I think that's another thing Ed Reed was upset about. Bags about is they kind of felt like Bags, Rasheem Mathis, and I think it was other former Bethune Cookman football players was there to be coolers, to cool off the, not really basically tell the truth, but just to cool the situation down, especially for the football players that's going out. Um, and
Oh, you talking about when they met with the team?
yes, yes,
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was like, okay, if everyone is enamored by an NFL player, or NFL star or whatever, then we have our own alumni. We have our own former players that we can get to come through here. Okay, that's cool. Again, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than football. At this point, it's bigger than football.
it is.
So I mean, I understand, about the finances. I understand about all about that. You get at this point, you have to realize, okay, what can I do to keep these kids healthy? I got to get them healthy. So I get it. You wanted to bring them in and show them and give them a little rah rah moment and this and that, and then it got kind of cringeworthy there at the end. It was almost like, Like they turned the table on them, like, okay, y'all was 2-9, yada yada yada. And I'm like, come on, man, this is really you you want to charge them up about not having a successful season under the circumstances that they played under?
Really? Yeah. No cap. Yeah, I mean that's very that's a very great point because people why would you even use that as
Yeah.
your talking point to go against some student athletes and they're playing under those in those conditions. So one thing I do want to say is shout out to Oscar. Um, got a win of one of his shows, and he did mention something that I didn't even pay attention to. That's my phone dropping. I didn't even pay attention to. Where's the former head coach?
Terry Seals,
Where's Terry Sims and all this
ducked
for him
off,
to speak up?
ducked off. Yeah, he got a lot of questions to answer, a lot, and see, this is where now you're talking about contracts. So I don't know what's in his contract. I'm pretty sure there's several layers of that. What's in your contract? Was there NDA? Uh, okay, you got was there agreements to your buyout clause? And then the another layer, I would imagine you trying to coach again. Do you want us to play blackball with you? So, these are things. Here it is. They are. Do we want to call this a scandal, or because it's like now it's almost like I don't know if you want to call it a scandal or if it's just something that just needs to be addressed or whatever, or attention that needs to be brought about. Because as of right now, outside of limited resources that is causing you to address things that you need to address on your campus, I don't know if I would necessarily call that a scandal. I mean, they haven't been proven to have misappropriated funds, even though people say that. So I don't know, but I mean, as for Terry Sims, I know people are looking for him. They have questions for him to answer. You know where to be found. Maybe
Nowhere.
maybe he was advised either by the university or by his attorney. So hell, there was a video clip. I saw a video clip of them actually playing, and I think it was a home game. They was playing, and they had the camera on Coach Sims, and guy was coming off the field. Looked like a lineman. He was coming off the field. He slowed down right by Coach Sims, took his helmet off, gave it to another kid, and that kid ran onto the field.
And all script was saying, Scotty was saying to the point that you know, Coach Sims should be ashamed of himself because you experienced all this, and you should be at least trying to be on the side or speak out of what you experienced. But like you just said, it may be a contract thing, or he's getting um legal advice not to
Yeah,
be involved. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I don't know, man. I mean, I know that that's one of the things that with the locker rooms and the kids, washing their own clothes and the sharing of helmets. There are a lot of questions that people want to ask, and you're not gonna really talk to the board. You see, Roland tried to set up something and have like a town hall setting where the board would be there among students and the public, and Dr. Drake immediately canceled that. He immediately canceled. He said that would not happen. He said you can come, but you'll be talking to me and some students, but you're not gonna talk to the trustees, the board of
And
trustees
there
of
was
the
another
college.
guy that was like basically said that I think they had a former head of the um I want to say alumni or something like that on his show, and then one of the higher ups Bethune Cookman was basically trying to basically belittle Roland Martin, saying that you have people who's no longer with Bethune Cookman talking about our conditions and um, basically what it sounded like what Dr. Drake was doing, basically saving face.
He's saving face. The individual that you're talking about, he was a part of the alumni association. Now that alumni association, based off of what Dr. Drake was saying, is in litigation. So they are being sued by the school. So the
Wow.
school says, yeah, the school says that they were doing things, they were using our seals when they didn't have approval to it. They were doing all these things that the school supposedly did not approve of, and one thing led to another. They, I guess, tried to dissolve that alumni association and then sued those individuals involved, and then started the new because Roland kept asking, like, wait a minute, you don't have an alumni association? And then Dr. Drake was like, we do have an alumni association. He gave a different name of it. So it's like they tried to start a different alumni association. But the alumni association, that's your base for your endowment. That's how you're going to get your donations. So if you are suing your original alumni association, and then you have people from outside of HBCU culture that are going to be saying, well, where's the alumni? How come they're not down? How come they're not donating? Well, if they're being sued by the school because of whatever discrepancies that there is, no, they're not gonna do anything right now. He even mentioned in the same he even mentioned in the same conversation with Roland Martin how how the percentage of donations was down. Well, it's probably because you pretty much have gotten rid of your alumni associate. So yeah, it's gonna be down. Why? So if they have issues going on with the school, or if they have issues with the board, and there's things that they are requesting and wanting and they're not getting addressed, they're not going to donate. So yeah, you're going to see the percentage going down.
Well, I mean, it's looking bad, but and this is gonna usher into our next topic as far how bad it's getting as far as the reports on the conditions and how the higher ups are moving um in Bethune Cookman. Uh, and what's going on with Reggie Theus? What's we all know why Ed Reed was hot with him. Basically trying to get Ed Reed to resign. After Bethune Cookman had already sent uh a notification out to everybody that Ed Reed had stepped down, but basically what Ed Reed was saying that was false. So what Reggie Theus did behind closed doors, he tried to basically play um I don't want to say good cop, bad cop, but he tried to be slick and tried to clean everything up and say, "Hey, go ahead and resign." Um, Basically, he was doing Bethune Cookman's higher ups bidding, being the athletic director. Um, but we're hearing I've heard a lot of things, strange things coming from as far as the actions of how Reggie Theus is moving. Being the AD or athletic director for Bethune Cookman. Um, any you guys any have any insight on that, Coach or Jay Good? Go ahead, Coach.
Well, in terms of like Dr. Drake, Reggie Theus, the board, it seems as if everybody is just, I'm not gonna say it's a scandal, but I will say it seemed like in this entire situation, from the on the Bethune Cookman side, everybody is, they're trying to save face. They're trying to pass the buck. They're trying to make
Yeah,
things look as good as they possibly can. And, even for one of the board members to say that, in Roland Martin's coverage, that he's being one sided. And, you and I talked about this on one of the shows like a few weeks back when we talked about the bug infestation in Southern. It
yeah,
seems like when it comes to Dr. Drake, like he's not easily accessible. I'm not saying he's not on Bethune Cookman's campus, but like Jacob was saying earlier, I don't think he's accessible to the students or to the players or to whoever needs to, touch him or have access to him to voice their concerns. So it seemed like he's not easily accessible in that regard. And in terms of Reggie Theus, it just seemed like I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna go as far as to say the scandal, but it just seemed like all the people in position of power, all the powers that be at Bethune Cookman, they're just trying to save face and they're just trying to, you know, just trying to pass the buck and anytime like Jacob was saying earlier, if you lying about one thing, what else are you lying about? So I think in this particular situation, I mean, I'm sure they don't want to show their hand as much as they want play their cards as close to the vest as they could. But when there's a lack of transparency, it's a real suspect and suspicious situation.
okay, okay. Jay, good.
I think that's. I mean, I think that's it right there. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the lack of transparency part. As for Reggie Theus, I mean, granted, he is the athletic director. So in most of the cases, the athletic director is going to act as a Turk. So he is going to get you out of there whenever it needs to be. But I mean, in my opinion, I think that, like you said, I don't think that this was a decision that he, came to solely on his own. This is one that the board decided on and maneuvered and acted through Reggie Theus. So, and it's a difficult role. I mean, you're the head men's basketball coach and you're the athletic director. You don't see that too often, because it's, when you're talking about, doing coaching in your own prospective sport, then you have to do recruiting. You have that delegated amongst, actual coaches and facilitators through that, and then you're trying to do the head. You're trying to wear the hat of an athletic director over all the sporting over all the sporting groups. So that's a difficult role in itself. They need that, but again, so if they don't have an additional athletic director or someone is not able to act in that role, and they're just trying to use Reggie Theus in that, it's basically telling me that I would think that there is an issue with funds. So here it is. You're a name. People are familiar with you. You're a professional. Why don't you be our athletic director also? In addition to being the men's basketball coach, and like I said, you don't see it too often because of the nature of both of what those roles entail. So um, I think that again, I think at the end of the day, all this to me, it's about money, and it's
Yeah,
about an unlimited amount of money. So
yeah,
when you're dealing with an enrollment of 3,000 to 3,500, and then let's just say that tuition is how much you think tuition there is? Probably about 35,000 for a private school at BCU,
yeah.
16,000 somewhere
Around
around
that,
there.
yeah, around there.
So that's your moneymaker. Your moneymaker is your enrollment in this particular case. So if those numbers are already low, and then you already have an interim president complaining about alumni giving back is down, then yeah, there's going to be issues as in trying to fill out a roster of administration and key pieces to do and function as normal universities do, and that's what you're seeing here.
Man, it's sad to see, man, especially at um one of the legend these a legendary school like Bethune Cookman.
And,
Um, Go
and
ahead,
I
coach.
cut y'all, bro. And Jay Good brought up a valid point because just at Southern, for example, Roman Banks was the head basketball coach. But however, when he became the athletic director, he became solely and strictly an athletic director, and when his assistants got moved up to being the head basketball coach. So, essentially, I guess it was too much on his plate for him to try to be the athletic director and to be Southern men's basketball coach. It would have been too much for him to do. So he just became strictly the AD, and he, let one of his assistants be elevated to head coach.
Yeah, you and I mean to speak on that, you even had Ed complaining about Reggie Reggie not being around. You know, he's not being around, he's not being on the campus, but at the same time they were off playing. So and at one point in time, you got to keep in mind. Now this was during the season, and it was after I think it was after the I think it may have been after the first hurricane. Those kids was gone on the road for like what 3 weeks, something like that.
Hmm.
So these are like other things that a lot of people that you're not really taking in consideration. Um, but yeah, he's going to be traveling. He's going to be limited, but you need to have someone on campus in that role at all times that's accessible to all these athletic departments.
Do you think that shows the limited resources like we were discussing last week about how HBCUs have that a lot of people don't take in account? Like Reggie Theus has to be the AD and the head basketball coach.
I mean, it's obvious, bro. And like Jay Good was saying, uh, you know, I know tuition at Bethune is probably gonna be higher than at a lot of other just traditional HBCUs. But I mean, it's transparent that they have a lack of funding. Anytime you have somebody, that's that high on the totem pole that essentially has to double dip. Yeah, I mean, it seems as if they're having a real issue with finances.
Yes, yes, indeed. They it's and I mean it's they're in a sticky situation. They really are. And this with all this happening, with all us saying that, it leads us to our final topic of the show. Will Bethune Cookman survive risk of closing? So basically, heard this on Roland Martin show, even heard it on Off Script and other shows. With all this going on, um, of course the air reed situation, not just that, but the mold in the ventilation system, uh, mold in some of the buildings, uh, even they're finding mold on the students' food. Like somebody today just uh is going viral around on HBCU YouTube. Um, there was a hamburger, and on the bun you could see the mold on the bun. So whoever fixed that, provided that for the students, didn't even take the initiative to look at the bread and see if it was still any good. And still, and they still served it to the students. So do you? And I hope this doesn't happen. Bethune Cookman is one of the most legendary HBCUs we have. Um, Great athletes and great uh, educational minds came from that school. Do you guys think if it will it ever get to that point where Bethune Cookman has to shut down? Jay Good, you go first.
Um, I mean, BCU's been around since what 1904, so over 100 years.
Yes.
Um, I mean, if we're being honest about them and the things that they've gone through, this has been a part of their makeup. This is something that they've always been limited. I mean, just like majority of these schools, they have been used to playing this type of game with the cards that they've been dealt with. I know that their enrollment, based off of what the president was saying, and from also from what I've been seeing, their enrollment is actually up. So that's one thing that's in their favor because as long as at one point in time the enrollment did dip, that freshman
Okay.
class it did it. I want to say it was, and I don't know if that was due to COVID, but I want to say like don't quote me on it, but I want to say like around 2019, 2020, it dipped. But I believe this incoming class or this class that's currently in now, I want to say that that's one of the largest incoming freshman classes that they had in quite some time. So the enrollment is there. That is something that's in their favor. Um, will they close their doors based off of everything?
Like the conditions of the
the condition
buildings.
the, the conditions can be fixed.
Right.
It's just a matter of can they get additional funding. I think that other measures are going to have to step in there. I know some people will say, well, they received blah 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 blah. I think it was like 30 or 40 million or something like that from the CARES Act that Biden was giving out. um, BCU also posted because people was questioning what happened to that money. Y'all say that y'all strapped for money and you have old buildings and mold and mildew. Where's that money at? So BCU, they actually showed their reports on their website. Of the website, they showed their reports, basically a self audit of where those funds went, and majority of those funds went to the students and their um, enrollment, past due balances, things like that have not been addressed in quite some time. So, do I think that they will close their doors down? I don't think so. I think if anything, I think you'll see something go. They'll let go of something before they close completely down, because I mean, as far as we know, they get audited. I would imagine. Nothing has been reported as of yet. So they haven't lost any type of accreditation. So um, I think if anything, maybe you need to go a couple of maybe you need to fall back from football for a few years. Now, granted, football and college football is supposed to be your number one money generator, revenue generator. I don't know exactly how profitable BCU football is for them right now. I mean, they haven't been successful um, in quite some time since what was it, early 2010, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe you need to let that go to try to allocate some of those funds and try to move forward for a little bit and bring it back. But I don't think that all of this will actually cause it to close down. But there is concern. Maybe all of this is a blessing in disguise, and what Ed Reed did that opens up the eyes of everybody that has an emotional attachment, a direct attachment to Bethune Cookman, to where they start trying to implement things and try to improve their situation. So that's what I think as of right now.
Very, very good perspective, Jay. Good, very good perspective. Now, that's good. Actually, good to hear. That their enrollment still up, and it's just what you be seeing on the news and the HBCU YouTube channels. Um, it doesn't look good from just
They got
sitting there listening to it.
they have to hold themselves accountable now.
Yeah,
They
they have
they
to.
they have to. You're saying that you're going to address locker rooms and showers and football fields. Okay, that's on tape. That's on wax now. So now you have to hold yourself accountable, especially when you are talking about attendance on the rise. Because now, if I'm a senior, if I'm a senior in high school and I'm looking at going to school in that area, I need to know what are y'all going to do to make sure that I'm protected? Or if I'm going to send my child out there, what are you going to do to ensure that my child is protected at all times? So, they've stated what they were going to do. Okay, people are watching now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Coach 67 Sports TV.
Well, I think a lot of these HBCUs, they're accustomed, like Jay Good, just to echo his sentiments. They're accustomed to doing more with less. And, just on the surface, it seems like a Morris Brown type situation where they could potentially close. But, being resilient is in the fabric of most HBCUs because,
Yes.
a good portion of my time in Southern, they were talking about closing Southern down and making it like another LSU location. And, the thing people don't realize about Southern is that it might not be just individually the largest HBCU, but it's the largest HBCU system in terms of, you know, Southern has a campus. The primary campus is in Baton Rouge. They have a campus in Shreveport. Southern has a law school. He has a nursing school. So it's like the largest HBCU system in this country. And, at one point, at multiple points, I know when I was attending in like 98, 99, they had some accreditation issues that they resolved and got squared away. They had, a couple other minor issues that, they were able to resolve. And, it's just basic life of a HBCU. And like Jay Good said, they're going to have to do something to aid that situation. Like you were saying, I don't know how profitable football is, but you have to realize unless maybe you are a basketball school like North Carolina, or Arizona or Duke or whoever the case may be, most colleges, their primary source of revenue is football. And if they have to, pull the plug on football to reallocate some of those funds, uh, maybe that's one of the measures they would want to take. I'm almost certain they wouldn't want to do that. They may want to pull the plug on some other sports, but the thing about pulling the plug on some other sports is the fact that, even though football really, for most institutions, is the uh, biggest, revenue draw in terms of bringing in money, it also causes the most also. So, whether it's pulling the plug on the sport, maybe closing down one particular department and reallocating those funds elsewhere. Something is going to have to give. And to be truthful, I think they're going to survive. I think they're going to make it. I think, you know, more than people see, you know, on the surface, most HBCUs, go through this more than you might think. Every HBCU is in this fortunate as maybe, as an Alcorn State or as a Purdue or as a, HBCU with, excellent facilities. And, a lot of these HBCUs, there's HBCUs, they're struggling. And like Jay Good said, they're doing more with less. So I don't think it's a Mark Brown type situation where they actually have to close their doors. And in addition to that, I think if push comes to shove, I know just, a bunch of alumni maybe donate $5, $10 won't help. However, I think if push comes to shove, I think, you'll have people that'll step up and do what they need to do. So I don't see the doors closing. I think, they're gonna just continue to do what they do and hopefully, things that eventually and gradually improve.
Yes, I agree. HBCUs has always been resilient, even in the brink of closure. So I definitely agree. Bethune Cookman will find a way to get through this, um, and like Jay Good put it, this um, it's just a part. They're in a situation where the mirror just was just cast on them on what they need to change, what they need to fix, so they can become greater and better for the future student athletes and um, athletes. Period. That's going to come in. Um, and shout out to the those young men and women down there that's protesting and speaking their mind and letting the old heads know, hey, this needs to be changed. Like, I love the school, or I picked the school to do my studies or get my education, but you guys can't treat us like this. So I I mean, like Jay Goods said, change is needed. Change is needed. And every HBCU or every college period has they have their issues behind closed doors and situations. Just unfortunately with HBCUs, we have to do more with less, and we've been doing that from the beginning of time, even they were created in the United States. So, in a nutshell, hopefully, this thing can come to a head. Ed Reed will eventually get a job. Um, Maybe not head coaching, but maybe a coordinator or a DB coach. Um, it'd be cool if he does get a head coaching job and somebody sit down, talk with him, getting his, hey man, you're no longer a player no more. This is not Ed Reed from the Baltimore Ravens. You have to be Ed Reed, the coach now. You have to be example from what you say to how you move, how you walk, and even like Jay Good put with even what you put on social media. So you definitely have to wear a different hat. But guys, again, like I said, today is a short show. Usually we're at an hour now, but usually we will cook on stuff and go longer and stretch it out. But we're gonna conclude it tonight. Thanks everybody who stopped by. Jay Good, tell people who you are, how they can reach you.
Yes, sir. You can reach me on Instagram at it's Jay Good, or you can check me out on Twitter also at Yaj Dude. That's Jay Good, basically spelled backwards at Yaj Dude. So enjoy it, fellas. Look forward to next week. We got a big week coming up. We got National Signing Day coming. Um,
Yes, yes.
and I'm ready to see what these Jags are talking about. They've been quiet, but I like it because they have learned to move in silence because a lot of people look at your paperwork. So move in
There you
silence,
go.
and then you just hit them. So, but I'm excited, man. Actually, there's two kids where I'm at now that are going to Alcorn, and they both linemen, and one of them actually coached against when I was coaching my son. So I'm excited and happy for them. So I'm ready to see what's in store for this week. So that's about it for me.
Yes, recruiting is definitely going to be interesting. Coach, let them know how they can reach you.
All right, you can reach me here at Coach 67 Sports TV here on YouTube. Recently I uploaded my predictions for both the AFC and the NFC Championship game. I also did a post-fight reaction to Anthony Yard, Arthur Beef last night. And also I'm uploading some more content, basically talking about with the team on True Boxing Talk, basically, looking at some upcoming fights with Deontay Wilder. So, I got a lot of content here on YouTube. You can follow me at Coach 67 Sports TV. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. And you can also catch me at Coach 67 Sports TV on all social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
Yes, yes. Well, brothers, again, thank y'all for coming by, especially on this blessed Sunday. But I bid y'all a blessed night. Y'all be safe. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. Y'all enjoy the rest of your night.
Peace and blessing, y'all.